Section 8. Moralists and the GPU. The Moscow trials provided the occasion for a crusade against Bolshevik amoralism. However, the crusade was not opened at once. The truth is that, in their majority, the moralists, directly or indirectly, were friends of the Kremlin. As such, they long attempted to hide their amazement, and even feigned that nothing unusual had occurred. But the Moscow trials were not at all an accident. Servile obedience, hypocrisy, the official cult of mendacity, bribery, and other forms of corruption had already begun to blossom ostentatiously in Moscow by 1924 and 1925. The future judicial frame-ups were being prepared openly before the eyes of the whole world. There was no lack of warning. The friends, however, did not wish to notice anything. No wonder the majority of these gentlemen, in their time irreconcilably hostile to the October Revolution, became friends of the Soviet Union merely at the rate of its Thermidorian degeneration. The petty bourgeois democrats of the West recognized in the petty bourgeois bureaucracy of the East a kindred soul. Did these people really believe the Moscow accusations? Only the most obtuse. The others did not wish to alarm themselves by verification. Is it reasonable to infringe upon the flattering, comfortable, and often well-paying friendship with the Soviet embassies? Moreover, they did not forget this indiscreet truth can injure the prestige of the USSR. These people screened the crimes by utilitarian considerations, that is, frankly applied the principle, the ends justify the means. The king's counselor, Prit, who succeeded with timeliness in peering under the chiton of the Stalinist Themis and there discovered everything in order, took upon himself the shameless initiative. Romain Rolland, whose moral authority is highly evaluated by the Soviet publishing house bookkeepers, hastened to proclaim one of his manifestos where melancholy lyricism unites with senile cynicism. The French League for the Rights of Man, which thundered about the amoralism of Lenin and Trotsky in 1917 when they broke the military alliance with France, hastened to screen Stalin's crimes in 1936 in the interests of the Franco-Soviet Pact. A patriotic end justifies, as is known, any means. The nation and the new republic closed their eyes to Yagoda's exploits, since their friendship with the USSR guaranteed their own authority. Yet, only a year ago, these gentlemen did not at all declare Stalinism and Trotskyism to be one and the same. They openly stood for Stalin, for his realism, for his justice, and for his Yagoda. They clung to this position as long as they could. Until the moment of the execution of Tukhachevsky, Yakir, and the others, the big bourgeoisie of the democratic countries, not without pleasure, though blanketed with fastidiousness, watched the execution of the revolutionists in the USSR. In this sense, the nation and the new republic, not to speak of Duranty, Louis Fischer, and their kindred prostitutes of the pen, fully responded to the interests of democratic imperialism. The execution of the generals alarmed the bourgeoisie, compelling them to understand that the advanced disintegration of the Stalinist apparatus lightened the tasks of Hitler, Mussolini, and the Mikado. The New York Times cautiously but insistently began to correct its own Duranty. The Paris Le Temps opened its column slightly to shedding light upon the actual situation in the USSR. As for the petty bourgeois moralists and sycophants, they were never anything but servile echoes of the capitalist class. Moreover, after the International Commission of Inquiry, headed by John Dewy, brought out its verdict, it became clear to every person who thought even a trifle that further open defense of the GPU signified peril of political and moral death. Only at this moment did the Friends decide to bring the eternal moral truths into God's world, that is, to fall back to the second-line trench. Frightened Stalinists and semi-Stalinists occupy not the last place among moralists. Eugene Lyons, during several years, cohabited nicely with the Thermidorian clique, considering himself almost a Bolshevik. Withdrawing from the Kremlin, for a reason that is to us a matter of indifference, he rose, of course, immediately into the clouds of idealism. Liston Oak, until recently, enjoyed such confidence from the Comintern that it entrusted him with conducting the English propaganda for Republican Spain. This did not naturally hinder him, once he had relinquished his post, from likewise relinquishing the Marxist alphabet. Expatriate Walter Krivitsky, having broken with the GPU, immediately joined the bourgeois democracy. Evidently, this too is the metamorphosis of the very aged Charles Rappaport. Having tossed Stalinism overboard, people of such ilk, they are many, cannot help seeking indemnification in the postulates of abstract morality for the disillusionment and abasement of ideals they have experienced. Ask them, why have you switched from the Comintern or GPU ranks to the camp of the bourgeoisie? They have a ready answer. Trotskyism is no better than Stalinism.